Previously. Hi, everybody. If you haven't seen the previous episodes yet, I recommend you go back and watch them. I'm Anna, and recently I started hating photos because one awful photo was the beginning of the end for my reputation. Gossip always spreads like wildfire in our school, quickly and inevitably. I used this thing myself a lot when I wanted to destroy my competitors, so I knew exactly how it worked. I just didn't expect my popularity to be turned against me this time. I was too famous and popular. Too many people were afraid of me. Too many people were watching my every move. Before, I was all cool, enjoying my glory and keeping a poker face. From time to time, I even threw the guys something to gossip about myself, so that no one would forget about me. But when this happened, I lost everything I literally had in one evening. Everyone found out how I first sobbed in the toilet and then hugged there with the main loser of the school. From first grader to the principal, everyone knew that. Of course, this news reached my parents. I wanted to tell them everything myself, but then I didn't want to say anything because I thought I could do it on my own. Then I got so confused when they called them that it was too late, and it was terrible. They came to the school, looked at the photo, and didn't say anything to me. Not a word, not a glance, not a single emotion. That's when I really got scared, because my games seemed to be over. You see, my parents are the kind of people who don't care about people around them or what's going on around them. They can ignore the worst, if it's done for a big purpose. They taught me how to walk on the heads of others. But all these rules didn't apply to reputation. Reputation was a great thing. It always seems to me that their reputation, filled with power and money, always came in the room before them. Well, between a vacation on the Caribbean islands, a game of bridge with business partners, and me, they would never choose me. I'm an unlucky person, a loser, a mockery. And it seemed that this photo, which made me famous throughout the school, was the last straw for them. My head was pounding with memories. You must comply. Tears. Pain. I don't understand why she's such a loser. Slamming the door. Darkness. Tears. You must listen to what they tell you. You must obey the rules. You must always be the best and not be ashamed to your family. You must. How many times have your parents locked you in a dark closet until you could smile all the time? How many times have you been reprimanded for a failure? As for me, I don't know. But it wasn't enough. Always. No matter what I did. And then I went to high school. I became popular, and I became the person they always wanted me to be. I hounded those who were weaker and smaller. I blackmailed and I deceived. I set up my rivals to get them out of my way. Did my parents like it? Yes, they did. They started to praise me, give me some gifts, and notice me. They were even proud of me, telling their business partners about me, taking me to parties to feed their own vanity, so that I could learn their art of manipulation. I liked beautiful dresses and hairstyles of men and women at the parties, and I was happy to have expensive gadgets. But what made me really happy was the fact that my parents finally noticed me. I became the queen, and I believed it myself. I relaxed. I missed the moment. And here I am again, a nobody. This stupid story with Chad, an even more stupid one with a photo in the bathroom. Here we are back again, just where we started before. All these thoughts were flashing in my mind when I got into the car in silence. Then we drove home, without saying a word to each other. I even held my breath sometimes, because any movement I made could disrupt it all. At home, hell opened up in front of me. My parents didn't shout. Shouting is unworthy of the elite. No, they didn't need this. They were looking at me in silence and full of accuse during the dinner. At the same time, they pretended I wasn't in the room. They discussed my prospects, which, judging by their description, looked as terrible as possible. Then they talked about weather, and anyway, they tried to make me panic. They were very good at it, because I probably didn't eat a spoonful of food during the entire meal. As it turned out, I shouldn't have done that, because then my father called the servants and ordered them to lock me in that awful room. No one even asked me anything. The butler, my dad nodded to him, silently grabbed my elbow and led me upstairs. Then I was just left alone in the room, and then they turned the key on the other side, locking me in. I didn't expect any human feelings from the servants. I was used to our butler who completely obeyed my dad and quietly hated me, but it was a shame. I didn't deserve it. I didn't mean all this to happen. I would have fixed it, but they didn't even give me a chance. The room I was locked in was small and empty. Just a bed, a nightstand, 4 walls. It didn't even have a window, and I wasn't supposed to have any light in the room as I was punished. No books, no cell, nothing. Just me and silence. As a kid, after staying in this room, I stuttered and even sometimes wet the bed, which usually caused double trouble. But I was no longer a kid, so I hope not to repeat my previous bad experience. Again, I hoped in vain, because being in the same room where I'd had my worst nightmares as a kid was just as bad as it used to be. Now it was even scarier, because I knew exactly what I was afraid of. I had no idea how I was going to keep from going crazy in the darkness. I didn't know how long I'd been sitting in this room or how much time I had left. No window, no lights, nothing. I counted the time when the butler arrived at the door with a jug of water. He always came at the same time in the morning. He put the jug on the nightstand and took me to the toilet. Then he came 2 more times, for lunch and in the evening. He also took me to the toilet, but he didn't talk to me. He just led me down a dark corridor and stood outside the door, listening for me trying to escape by leaking through the pipe. I left notches on the walls every time they brought me water. The rest of the time, I lay on that bed and imagined going back to school and taking revenge on everyone who dared to hurt me like that. This helped me to hold on, though hunger on the 3rd day started to cramp my stomach. The water helped. As a habit of dieting, I did. I needed a nice figure, but honestly, it was lousy. And no, I didn't blame my parents, even though I didn't love them anymore. I knew exactly it was all my own fault. This was my crime and my punishment, so I needed to fix it all when I got out, if I ever got out again. My dad called me to his study a week later. He said, "Your mistake cost you your reputation, so there won't be any more mistakes." I hoped he wanted to announce my punishment was over, but it was just another round of lectures and humiliations. And then I did something I never dared do as a kid. I raised my voice to my dad. I'm almost 18. I've achieved a lot by myself, even if I made a slight mistake once. And I definitely didn't deserve such an attitude. Being outraged, I even cursed my dad a couple of times, and then demanded a chance to at least fix everything. Honestly, at some point, I even thought I was just going to be removed by his guards. Well, a guard, a forest, a shovel, that's all. But Dad suddenly, there it is. He merrily laughed in my face. Being shocked, I forgot what I was shouting about. No one in my entire life had ever seen my father show any emotions. I thought he was completely mad with wealth and power, but it turned out I did everything right for the first time. Of course, when my dad had finished laughing, he scolded me again. He told me not to forget where I belonged, and that he would only forgive me once. But anyway, he's glad I have finally grown my teeth, and was ready to achieve my goals the way he taught me. I couldn't believe it. Just like that, all I had to do was yell and demand. But that wasn't it. He gave me a condition. I'll be part of the family again. I'll even be forgiven for my mistake and won't be locked up again if I regain my popularity at any cost. My dad didn't care how I would do it. He gave me carte blanche and promised any help. But the thing was, I had to punish the offenders and regain my popularity and fame. In fact, it sounded simple. Before Christmas, there was going to be a ball where the principal would choose the Winter Queen as always. Last year, I was the undisputed Winter Queen. This year, I expected to repeat my triumph, and even prepared everything in advance. However, because of such a punishment, I wasn't able to participate in the most important thing, campaigning and distributing leaflets. But I still hope the whole ridiculous story with the disgraceful photo had already been forgotten. The ball was the next day, so I briefly outlined my plan to my dad, asked him to rent a club for my own party after the ball. Last year, I still got all my votes. I just organized a secret party where everyone would go if I won, and I already turned around to get ready. But my dad said he and my mom would come too, see for themselves if I was able to do it. And if not, well, my fault. The idea of the ball immediately ceased to seem so wonderful, but I had no choice. Tomorrow, I would just have to do my best to win. Subscribe to the channel so that you never miss the next episode. To be continued.